Which mythical Pokemon can you get only using your Nintendo Switch? Over the years, Pokemon's released a lot of mythical Pokemon, 23 to be exact, and most of them only came through in-game event distributions, with those being limited time, locked to certain places. A lot of players didn't actually have those Pokemon when they were released. Over the years, Game Freak and Pokemon have released a few more events for some of them, but to this day, there are some Pokemon that you cannot get if you started playing Pokemon when the Nintendo Switch came out. Today, we're going to be talking about every mythical Pokemon you can get using only a Nintendo Switch, and what this means for some of those that are not yet available. Will we see them in future events? Let's take a look. So we're going to start off with the ones that are not available on Nintendo Switch. Starting off with Celebi. The only Gen 2 mythical Pokemon has still not made an appearance and also cannot be obtained through the Nintendo Switch. The last time Celebi was available in a main series game was when Pokemon Crystal got its Virtual Console release on the 3DS, when Ilex Forest became available worldwide without the need for an event. But since then, we haven't seen Celebi in a main series game. Next up, we have the alien nemesis to Rayquaza, apparently, Deoxys. Deoxys was introduced in Generation 3 with an event at Birth Island. Since then, it was event only. However, when Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out, the Delta episode in the post-game actually guarantees that you encounter Deoxys, so you could actually obtain it in a mainline game. However, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were on the 3DS, not the Nintendo Switch. Since the Nintendo Switch has launched, there's been no way to obtain a Deoxys through a main series game. For Generation 4, we're actually pretty lucky. All the Gen 4 mythicals are available in Pokemon Legends Arceus, so we're going to skip over that and go straight into Generation 5. First up is Victini. Victini was only available via an event in Pokemon Black and White and has not been distributed since. Then there is Genesect. Genesect has also only been available through event distributions, never getting another distribution. Next up we have Diancie. Diancie was released with Pokemon X and Y, and even a Mega Diancie was released in those games, but it was again only through event distribution. Since the Nintendo Switch came out, there has been no way to get a Diancie without an event, and there has been no way for you to get a Diancie in-game. Hooper is another one like this. Came out with an event, and has not had a non-event distribution yet. Volcanion, same story. It has not had a non-event distribution. Magearna, however, is an interesting case. Currently, there is a way to get a Magearna in the Switch. It requires having a Nintendo Switch Pokemon Home, and every single Pokemon up until the end of Gen 8, but that includes all the mythical Pokemon. And this is why I say Magearna is still not eligible, because since the mythical Pokemon are locked out of the Nintendo Switch, if you only have a Nintendo Switch, you cannot complete that Pokédex, and you cannot get that Magearna. So Magearna goes on the list as well. Next up we have Marshadow. Introduced in Generation 7 through an event, it hasn't had a non-event distribution on the Nintendo Switch. In fact, it hasn't had a distribution on the Nintendo Switch. So if you want a Marshadow, well, unfortunately, you can't get one. Zeraora is another one. Introduced in Generation 7, it wasn't available to be gotten outside of an event distribution. During the time of Sword and Shield, there was an event distribution in Pokemon Home, where a shiny Zeraora could be obtained for about a week only, and after that week, you couldn't get Zeraora again. So unless you have a shiny Zeraora from that distribution, you can't get one today. Next are Meltan and Melmetal. Now, these are interesting ones because they were actually not introduced in a main series Pokemon game, they were introduced in Pokemon Go. If you are not playing Pokemon Go, and for the purposes of this video, I'm not allowing Pokemon Go as an eligible distribution, then you actually can't get a Meltan or a Melmetal. Meltan can actually be obtained by completing the Kanto Pokédex in Pokemon Home. To this day, you can get a shiny Meltan. Problem is, Meltan can only be evolved into Melmetal by giving it 400 candies in Pokemon Go. And again, Pokemon Go is not eligible. So if you only have a Nintendo Switch, you may be able to get a Meltan, but you can't get a Melmetal. And Meltan is fantastically useless. And finally we have Zarude, also not obtainable. That Pokemon was released in Pokemon Sword and Shield, had an event distribution, and has not had a distribution since. So, if you are playing today, you cannot get a Zarude. Now we've reached the Pokemon that actually are obtainable on the Nintendo Switch, and it's a shorter list than the ones that are not, but we've had quite a few of them being released in the last 5 years, and we are hopeful that we are going to get more of them as Legend ZA comes out, and when we get Pokemon Champions, and hopefully with Generation 10. So let's get into it in Pokédex order. Which Pokemon can you get on the Nintendo Switch? First one is the original mythical Pokemon, the one that spread all the rumors around, Mew. You can get a Mew in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl to this day if you have save data from Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee. Once you get to Floroma Town, you talk to one of the NPCs and they give you a Mew for free. You can repeat this, add it to Pokemon Home, start a new save file, get another Mew. Next up is Jirachi, and Jirachi is available through almost the same obtainment method in almost the same place. In fact, there are two NPCs next to each other. One gives you a Mew, the other one gives you a Jirachi if you have save data from Pokemon Sword and Shield on your device. So when visiting Floroma Town for the first time, if you have, a weakish team with you, you can just add 2 600 base stat total Pokemon to that team just by having that save data on your Switch. The next 5 Pokemon are all from Gen 4, and they all got in-game obtainment methods in Pokemon Legends Arceus. We're going to start off with Fion and Manaphy. As part of completing your Pokedex in Pokemon Legends Arceus, there's actually a quest where you can go and catch Fion and Manaphy in-game. It's one of the first times that a mythical Pokemon has just been catchable in-game, as opposed to being given to you by an NPC like the Mew or Jirachi, which is really, really nice. Then, Shaman and Darkrai are the same. They each have their own quest in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Once you catch them, they are added to your Pokedex and they are yours. Once you complete that Pokedex, you unlock the final mythical Pokemon in Pokemon Legends Arceus, being Arceus itself. Once you've gotten every Pokemon in Pokemon Legends Arceus, you can complete the Pokedex, get the Azure Flute, take it to Spear Pillar, and challenge Arceus itself in the same kind of boss battle that you do throughout the whole game. Once you complete that boss battle, Arceus gives you a piece of itself, and Arceus is added to your Pokedex. The next Pokemon we're going to be talking about is Keldeo. So Keldeo is obtainable in Pokemon Sword and Shield via the DLC at Balamere Lake. After you've caught the Swords of Justice and you go to Balamere Lake, you are able to catch a Keldeo. There will be a Keldeo there for you to get. Next up is Meloetta. Meloetta is available in the Indigo Disc DLC of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. If you go to the coastal biome near the classroom, there is actually a cyclone going on around Summerlone Executor. If you spin clockwise in that cyclone, open up your camera and turn on sepia mode, you will be able to catch Meloetta. And I know that sounds very random, it is, but hey, we get a mythical Pokemon for free. Well, in the DLC. I'll take it. The final Pokemon that you can get, and the one that maybe breaks the rule of this video, is Peturant. Peturant is available after getting the mythical Petraberry event item from your mystery gift in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and then completing the epilogue of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, while I did say that I'm not going to be allowing limited time distribution events to be counted here, Peturant's distribution event, aka the time you can get a mythical Petraberry, doesn't actually have an end point at this time. You start a new save, you can immediately get the mythical Petraberry once you unlock the Poke Portal, and then once you do everything, and you finish the epilogue, you are able to catch Peturant. And that is every mythical Pokemon you can get on the Switch. In total, 10 mythical Pokemon you can get just having a Nintendo Switch and nothing else, and 13 that you can't get yet. I'm emphasizing yet, because in the last 2 generations, we've gotten 10 of these Pokemon. Who's to say they won't give us the rest in the next 2 generations? So what's your favorite mythical Pokemon, and which one do you wish that Game Freak would bring to the Nintendo Switch next? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoy content about Pokemon storytelling, characters, and lore, check out this video over here. Trust me, you won't regret it.